Okay, so in the previous session, we have seen how to work with the tables or web tables. And today we are going to see one of the different element and which is basically called date picker. Okay, or we can say calendar element, date picker. So this is a something different type of element. So normally there are two kinds of web elements we can see on our web page. So one type is standard elements, the standard web elements, and the second category is non-standard elements, which are also called as a customized elements, which are also called as a non-standard or customized elements. So what are the non-standard elements? What are the standard elements? What are the non-standard elements? So standard elements are nothing but like buttons, reader button, checkboxes, links, images. All these things are standard elements, because wherever you see the button is same, and wherever you see the reader buttons, wherever you see the checkboxes, images, everywhere it is same. So they are standard elements, standard web elements. But non-standard means those elements will not be the same on every page. So suppose sometimes a date picker, if I just look at on one application, the same kind of date picker you cannot see in some other applications. So that will be different from one application to another application. So that's a date picker only, but the design of the date picker will be different. And that is one reason. The other reason is, which is a customized. Why we are calling it as a customized? Because the date picker again contains a multiple standard elements. So date picker itself is a combination of multiple web elements, which contains a sometimes drop down, sometimes inside it is all the dates will be arranged in the table, and inside this you can see some arrow marks, buttons, and everything. So the date picker is a customized element which is designed by using some standard elements. So that is the reason you may not see the same kind of date picker on everywhere on every web page. So this is more customized. So that is the reason whatever automation script we write for our date picker, so the same automation script may not work for other kind of date pickers. So according to the design, we have to write our automation script which will handle the date picker. So according to the design, we have to write our automation code. Okay, this will change. The same automation code will not work for all kinds of date pickers because it's a customized element. So developer design the date picker according to their own design, right? So that is the reason the same automation script will not work for all kinds of date pickers. Now in the today's session, I will show you two different type of date pickers and how we can handle them. And accordingly, you can just write your own logic if you find any new type of date pickers. Okay, it cannot be the same every time, but we need to know how to handle the date picker. So I'll show you a few date pickers practically, and then we will try to understand. So first, let us start with one date picker here. Let me just open the application. Okay, so now we can just look at here. This is basically called as a Jquery date picker, and normally it is a simple input box. Okay, so if you want to pass the date in the input box, we can directly identify this element. I can use send keys method. So when I use send keys method, we can directly pass the date. It will work. 90% of the times it will work, but sometimes some applications will not allow you to use send keys method. You cannot directly pass the value. So in those cases, we have to select the date through date picker. So how we will get the date picker? When you perform the click action here, so then it will open the date picker. And from the date picker, we should be able to select the month and year and date. And for that, we need to write a logic. But 90% of the times, most of the times, you will use send keys on, because send keys, most of the times it will work. But some applications, especially when you go with any CRM kind of applications, so they will not accept the send keys method. We cannot directly type the date here. Okay, in those cases, we have to select the year, month, date only through date picker. Now let's see how we can handle this date picker first, and after that we will see other type of date picker. So let's start writing the code for this. Go to PyChamp, and I'm creating a new directory, day 20. So inside this, creating another Python file and say date picker 1. Okay, so now we get created. So as usual, first let me copy the piece of code. So which will create the driver, import the different modules which are required for automation script, and then specify the driver service object we passed in the Chrome class, and this is the application URL, and then I'll maximize the application driver.maximize window. Okay. So now, first of all, let us see how we can pass the date directly by using sendKeys method. Whether it's working fine or not, we will see that first. Okay. So before that, first of all, we need to identify this element, right? So this element is present inside the frame. You can just look at here. So there is small box is available, right? So this is basically a frame. So if I just inspect this element, you can find that frame. Okay, let me just drag down. Yeah, now you can see there is a iframe is available. So inside the iframe, this element is available. So if I just look at the iframe, so I don't see any attribute except the class. Okay, so let's try to identify this frame. So this time I want to switch to the frame, and then only we can interact with this element. So without switching to the frame, we cannot get that element. So first we need to switch to this particular frame. So by using switching command. So currently we have only one frame in this particular page. So that I will try to use index. So in earlier we have seen how to use name and IDs in the switch to command. And also there is another flavor is there. So we can pass the index of the frame. So if you have only one frame on a web page, then you can directly pass the index is 0. So let's try to switch to the frame first before interacting with this element. So for that, I can say driver dot switch to dot frame, and I'm directly say 0. So 0 is a index, because if you have only one frame, just use this approach. You can directly pass 0 as an index. So this will switch to frame. And once you switch to the frame, and then we can, instead of clicking on this element, we can directly pass the date inside this. So let's try to see the format first. Okay, which format it is identifying. So I'm just selecting randomly one date. So it is selecting date in the month, date, and year format. So this is the actual format: month, date, and year. Let me put here. So month and date DD, and YYYY. So this is the format it is taking the date, right? So let me just inspect that element first. So right click on this element, inspect. And once you inspected that element, so you will see, just a moment. Just a second. Let me open the selector hub. Okay, so something is happened. Okay, so let's get the XPath for this element. So copy XPath, go back, and I say driver dot find element by dot XPath, and specify that XPath, and it should be single quotation, and the dot send keys. I'm directly using send keys method. So in which format we have to pass the date? MMDDYY. So I'm just passing some date here. So MM is nothing but month. Let's say 05/30/ let's say 2022 or 2022. Okay, so I'm just selected one date. So this is the format I have given. So let's execute and see whether it's working fine or not. Okay. And what happens? Yeah, it is giving some error. Session not created. Okay, so I think driver is not correct. Let me just cross check. So drivers Chrome driver.exe driver is created. Launching our application. Driver maximize, switch to the frame, and okay, fine. I don't see any issue in this. So let me just try one more time. Maybe the Chrome version is updated. Let me just cross check one more time. Go to help menu, about Google Chrome. Okay, so 93.0 something is there. Okay, so let's try to run one more time. Okay, it is giving error. Service equal to service object, and then we launch your application. Okay, so okay, so maybe the driver we have to update, because my browser is got updated. So this driver we need to update. Okay, or else maybe I given some incorrect path. Let me just give the right path. Let me copy this from another program and let's copy this. Just check it. Drivers Chrome driver win32 Chrome driver.exe driver equal Webdriver Chrome service object. So perfectly fine. So I don't have any issue. So let's try to download the new driver process first. Okay, so open the application, open the browser, and let me just download the Chrome driver. So I say download Chrome driver and go to this website. And currently I have 93, so which is the latest version. So I just download the latest version 93 and go to the Chrome driver win32 and you will get the zip file and then extract. Okay, open the folder, and now this driver I will replace with my old driver. So we already copied in the drivers folder, right? So go to drivers folder, and here I'm just removing my old driver and then paste the new driver. Now this is the path we have specified in our automation script. Okay, and then execute one more time. Okay, so now this time it is launched in my browser. So you need to cross check, guys, multiple times, because sometimes if the driver is not updated, if a browser is updated, driver will not work. So you need to again download the latest version and then you have to do this. All right, so now you can just look at this. It is entered the date exactly the same, whatever we specified, 5/30, 2022. So this exact date which is actually entered into the box. So this is a straightforward. So by using send keys, we can directly pass the date. But sometimes if it is not allowed, and then we have to write the logic. So we have to write the logic. Now let me comment this statement. Now we'll see how to write the logic to select the date from the date picker. Okay. So for that, so let me just take some input. So what is the year, month, date we want to select from the date picker? So that we need to first define 3 different variables. So I want to select year equal to 2021 or 2022. And I want to select month and let's say March. And I want to select a date. Take everything as a string because we will pass this data in the text format. So date equal to, let's say 30. So this is a year, month, date I want to select from the date picker, right? So now we already switched it to this element. So now what we need to do is to get the date picker, what we need to do, we need to go and click on this element. Once you perform the click action, then it will open the date picker, right? So we have to do that now. So go back to the Chrome browser. Now, as soon as you click on this element, you will get the date picker. So that element we already identified. So this element we already identified here. So I'm just taking the same thing and then perform the click action. And we are not passing the value directly now. So we will pass the date, year, month through date picker. So now I perform the click action here. So this will opens date picker element. It opens the date picker. Now here we need to write a proper logic. So first let us understand the logic behind it. So once you click on this, you will get the date picker. So as soon as you get the date picker, the first we need to focus on the month and year. Okay, so forget about the date. We will select the date later. So first we need to focus on the month and year. So as soon as you click on the date picker, you will see the month and year, right? So what we need to do is we have to first capture this. As soon as you open this, it will currently show you the current month and current year. So we need to capture these details, month and year, both we have to select separately. And once you capture it, compare those values, compare this month and year with our expected year and expected month. Okay. If they are equal, then what we need to do, immediately go to this table inside this, and which contains a number of dates here. So whichever date you want to select and click on that particular date. That's the next action. Once you decide a month and year, and date, selection of date is a secondary action. And suppose if the current, if once you take this year and month, if they are not equal to our expected month and year, Then what we have to do? We have to click on this arrow mark. Then you will get the next month and year. And again, capture these two and compare with your expected month and year. Again, if it is not equal, then again click on the arrow mark. Again, capture it and compare it. Again, not equal. Then again, click on the arrow mark. So how many times we have to click on this arrow mark like this? Still, till we get the expected month and year. So whenever this month and year is matching with our expected month and year, which we have defined in our script, we have to keep on clicking on this right arrow mark. And when we have to stop this, as soon as we get the expected month and year, then we have to stop clicking on this arrow mark, next arrow mark. But do we know exactly when you will get the expected month and year? We don't know exactly, right? So that's the reason we don't know exactly how many times we have to click this. So how many times you want to click means what? Till we get the expected month and year. But when you will get the expected month and year, we don't know. So that is the reason we don't know the end condition here. So we have to keep on clicking on this arrow mark till we get the expected month and year. And as soon as we get the expected month and year, then we need to stop clicking this. If expected month, if the month and year is not expected, not exactly equal what you are expected, then we have to again click on this arrow mark multiple times. So this is a simple logic. Now we don't know the condition where we have to stop. So in those cases, we need to use while loop. Okay, if you know the starting point and ending point, then we go for the for loop. But when you write a for loop, we know exactly where to start, where to end. But here we don't know how many times we have to click this next arrow mark, right? So that's the reason we don't know the condition. So for that reason, we have to use while loop. Let me just start writing the while loop. But even if I use while loop, we have to put some condition, right? But what is the condition we can keep here? We don't know the condition. If you know exactly where we have to stop, then we know the condition, but we don't know exactly when we have to stop and when you will get the expected month and year in the date picker. So that is the reason we will make this condition always true. Okay. Even if you write the expression that will returns true, then only while block will execute, right? So I'll make while loop every time true. But if I make every time true, but when while loop will be exited, because it will go to infinite loop, right? If I write any statements inside the while block, those statements will keep on executing infinite time because every time condition becomes true. But when we have to exit from the loop, how the loop will exit it? So that I will show you. So first of all, let's make the condition is true by default. Now inside the loop, what we have to do is we have to, as soon as you click on this, we have to capture the month and year. So how to capture this month and year? First of all, inspect this element, September. Okay, so this is the element. Okay, and go to the selector hub. Okay, so this is the element which is giving actually relative XPath. So this is the element which is giving, and span tag is there. Normalized space September is giving. So September is a hard-coded value, but this won't work if the month name is got changed, right? But how we can write our own XPath? We have to write our own XPath. So if I just look at here, there is a class attribute is there, right? So we can use the class attribute. So don't use this XPath because this is a static XPath. If the month is got changed, this XPath won't work because here it is comparing with the September. So remove this, and I'm trying to use attribute called class because class is available for that. Okay, class @class and equal to, I specify this. Now it is exactly pointing the month. So even if your month is got changed later, still this XPath works. So let's copy this XPath and try to get that element, month element. So how to get a driver.find element by.xpath, right? So specify that XPath dot text, right? So text method will get the value from that element. And what is that value? Month. Give some variable name. And we capture the month. And then we should also capture the year, similar way. So now inspect this year, 2021. So don't take this XPath because this is hard coded. We have to write our own XPath. So for this also, there is a class attribute is available. So let me use this class attribute. So this is a class attribute. Now it is exactly pointing to year. And tomorrow, even if the year number is got changed, this XPath will work. Copy this and get that value from the element. Driver dot find element by dot XPath, comma, specify that XPath dot text. Fine. So now we got the month and year from the date picker. Whatever is currently displayed, as soon as you click on element, whatever the current month and year is displayed, we are capture it and store them in two different variables. Now, what is the next step? We have to compare this month and year is exactly equal to our expected month and our expected month. If they are equal, then we need to go to the date. That's the next level. So first we need to decide and select the correct month and year. So then next thing is we need to compare it. So how to compare it? By writing a if condition. Simply you can write one if condition. If month equal to month. What is this MON? Captured one. And this is our expected month. And end operator. And YR equal to year. Then, okay, so this is a double equal to because a comparison operator. So now both should be matched. Otherwise, we cannot go to the date. First month and year should be selected. And then if this condition is matched, immediately what you will do, if it is matched, for example. So we no need to click on this arrow mark. If they are matched with our expected month and year, we no need to click on this arrow mark. Instead, what you have to do, we need to come out from this while block. We have to break this while loop. So how to break the while loop? By using break command. So even though this condition not become false, but somehow this particular condition will be matched, right? And immediately what happens, this break command will break the loop. So here, even though we are not putting a condition, so when the while block will be exited, if the condition is false, then only while block will be exited. But this condition will never become false because we hard coded the value called true. So while condition never becomes false. But how we will exit from the loop? By using break command. So as soon as this condition met, immediately what break command will do, this will come out from this block. Basically, this will break the entire loop. But if it is not equal, suppose month or year, not matching with our captured month and year, then what you have to do, else part will start. Else, we have to click on the next arrow mark. So this arrow mark we have to click because we want to get another month and year. So next arrow mark we have to click. Now go back and inspect this element. And for this, we have to capture the XPath. So right click, copy XPath of that element. Go back and driver dot find element by dot XPath, specify that XPath and keep in the single quotations. And this is XPath which is given. So dot click. Okay, dot click. So that's it. So this is what basically right or next arrow mark. Next arrow. Okay, so this is a simple logic which you have to write. But here, with this logic, what exactly we have done? So we have just selected only month and year. And once the month and year is correctly selected, then we go for the date. So this piece of code will just select the right month and year from the date picker. Now let me repeat once again. As soon as this loop is started, we only click on this element and it will open the date picker. Immediately, it will capture the month and year which is displayed on the date picker. And then compare that month and year with our expected month and year because we want to select this month and year. If both are matching, then immediately what we should do, come out from this loop. And to select the date, we have to write one more looping statement. So that's a secondary thing. So if the condition is met here, come out from this while block. Break command will do that. But if the condition is not matching, then what we have to do? Again, we have to click on this arrow mark. And then again capture the month and year, again compare it. If not matching, again click on this arrow mark. If again, if I click on the arrow mark, again it will go up. Again, while condition is true, again capture the month and year, again compare it. If not matching, again click on the arrow mark. So this will repeat multiple times. So forget about this arrow mark. I'll tell you that. I'll come to that part. First, focus on the next one. Okay. So currently focus on the next arrow mark. I will talk about this later. Just hold on. So now this, just understand this logic first. So in this logic, what exactly we have done? We have captured the month and year from the date picker, compared with our expected month and year. If matching, then come out from this while loop using break command. If not matching, then go and click on the next arrow mark. That will give you the next month and next year. And again, start comparison. So this loop will repeat multiple times till we get the expected month and year. So let us test this particular logic first, whether it's selecting correct month or not. So what is the year I have given? 2022 March. Forget about the date. We will take care of it later. So let's focus only on the year and month. So 2022 March, I want to select. Let's execute this code and see whether it's selecting March 2022 or not. Okay, so now we can just look at here. See, as soon as you got the March 2022, now it is stop clicking on this arrow mark. It is stop clicking on the arrow mark. Now we got the March 2022, perfectly fine. Let me just say 2023. Now execute one more time. See this, it is keep on clicking on the arrow mark till we get the March 2023. As soon as we got the March 2023, it gets stopped. That means what? We are successfully able to get the expected month and year from the date picker. So this particular logic will able to select expected month and year. Perfectly fine. So as soon as we selected expected month and year, and then we have to go to the next level, that is a date selection, because these dates also keep on changing as per the month and year, right? So as soon as we exactly get the expected month and year, then focus on the date, how we can select the date from this list. This is the next level. So now I'll show you how to select the date from the date picker. So that's the next level. So for that, we need to write one more logic, select date. So with this loop, we have successfully selected expected month and year. Now we are focusing on the date. Now, as soon as you get this expected month and year, it will stop clicking on this arrow mark, right? Then it is waiting for the data. Then what we need to do, we have to select, or we have to get all the dates from this list. And because basically it is a table. Inside the date picker, they have inserted one table. How you will know that? When you inspect this element, and you can see something called table tag here. You can just look at this. Table tag is there. That means these are all different rows and columns. When I highlight the table, it is exactly highlighting the whole table, but we don't need everything. We need only numbers from 1 to 30 or 1 to 31. So first of all, we need to capture all the dates from the date picker. Then we have to read one by one till we get the expected data. Again, looping statement is required. So first of all, let us capture all the date elements from the table. So how to write an XPath now? Inside the table, inside the T body, there are multiple TRs are there. Each TR is representing the table row. Let us navigate till TR here. First of all, let me write XPath for the table. Okay, so this is the XPath of the table. So this is the XPath of the table. So inside this, inside the table, there is a T body. So I'll write T body. And what happens? Just a second. Okay, one element is matching. Okay, one element is matching. So this is exactly matching with the table. Now inside this, let's go to T body element. So do we have a T body in this? The table, we have a T body. Okay, just a moment. I think this is a class attribute, not an ID attribute. At the rate class equal to UI date picker hyphen calendar. Sorry guys, so this is actually something went wrong. Let me inspect this once again. Refresh the page. Okay, so inspect this element, inspect the table once again. And actually this is a table. Now go to the selector hub. And this is the actual relative XPath. So when I inspect this, this is exactly pointing to the table. Now inside the table, we have T body tag. I'm trying to write T body. Now it is exactly pointing only the dates, only the rows. But I want to get individual values or individual columns in this table. So inside the T body, there are inside the T body, you can just look at, there are multiple TRs are there. So let's write TR also. Now it is pointing to all the TRs. And now inside each TR, there are multiple columns are there. So if I just expand the TR, you can see the TD tags, table data, and specify that also, table data, TD. Now we can just look at here, it is pointed all the dates which are available in the table. But again, if I just expand the TR in the TD, right, in the TD, actual value is present. So in the first TR, initially we don't have any values. Let's go to second TR. And if I expand the TD, there is an anchor tag, because again, inside the table data, they have put one link here. So this is a 5 is actual link, anchor tag is there. In every TD, you can see the anchor tag. So inside the TD, we want only anchor tags. So now we can just look at this particular X path is exactly pointing all the elements, all the dates which are available inside this particular calendar. Okay, and suppose tomorrow, even if you change the month and date, still this X path will point all the dates. So now we need to use this X path to capture all the dates from the table. That's the next step. So first let us capture all the dates from the table. How to get it? Driver dot find elements by dot XPath, specify that XPath. And this will return all the elements. What are those elements? Basically dates. All the dates will be returned by this command. So now we got all the dates. In all the dates, we need to choose one date. So for that, we need to write one loop statement. How to loop? For, okay, for element in dates. From the dates, read each and every element and compare that. If this element value dot text equal to whatever the date we are expecting, compare with our date. If they are equal, then what we need to immediately, we have to click on that element. It will automatically select the date and immediately come out from the block, come out from this block and also come out from the loop. Because as soon as you click on the date, we no need to go to the next level. We no need to go to the next date, because the date contains a multiple dates. First, it will get one date element inside the variable and capture the text of the date, compare with our expected date. If they are equal, then directly go and click on the date. And once you click on the date, we no need to compare with the other dates, right? But till you get the expected date here, this loop keep on continuing, keep on repeating multiple times. As soon as you get the expected element here and matching this condition, then go and click on the date and break command will come out from this loop statement. That's it. So this particular logic will select the date. So we cannot directly select the date, okay? Because as per the date picker, we have to proceed further. So as soon as you click on this, without selecting this month and year, how come you select the date directly? Right? By default, if I select that directly, so it will go to inside this select September 2021. But I want to select the future month and future date. In that case, first you need to go to future month and year like this, and then select the date. Even if you do manually, right? If you want to select March 2022, how we will do that? You don't select the date first. First, you will navigate till March 2021 like this, and then select the date like this. This is a manual process. Same thing we do through automation also. So the first loop, we decided which month and year we have to select. In the second loop, we decided which date you want to select. Now let us test this logic by passing different dates and different months and different years. So I'm passing here 2023, March 30th I passed. Let's execute the code and see. Okay, now it is launching my page. Now you can just look at here, March 2023. So 3 is representing March 2023, 30th is a date. So what is the date I have mentioned here? 30th is mentioned. And let me just give some other date. Suppose I provide something called, let's say June. Okay, June 2023, 15 I will give you. Let's make it as a June and 15. Okay, June 15, 2023. Let's execute the code one more time. Okay, now you can just look at here. 2023, 6 is representing the June, 15 is a date. Exactly, it is selected. So this logic perfectly working for all the dates. And what I have done here, we have just selected only future one. So future month and future date. But suppose I want to select my past date or past month or past year, then what we will do? The same logic we have to repeat, but instead of clicking on the next arrow mark, we have to just click on the right arrow mark. So we have to just go to this direction. You will get the previous years and previous months. So now let us identify this element. And let me copy the text path of this element and just change it. So here I'm writing driver dot find element by dot xpath. Specify the text path. This is a single quotation dot click. And this is a previous arrow key for old data. Okay, now we need to comment the first one. So you cannot use both at a time. So you have to use only one. So now we need to select the previous year, previous month. Let's say 2020. Okay, 2020, June and 10th I want to select. So in the previous year, June month, 10th I want to select. Let's execute the same logic. So now it is navigating to the previous year. Now you can just look at here. 2020, June 10 is selected. So like this, we have to automate the date picker according to your logic. But most of the times you have to remember one thing. So whenever you see the date pickers on your applications, there are two cases you want to select the date. Either you will select only the previous dates and previous months and previous years, or you will select the previous, you will select the future months, future dates, and future years, or you will select only past dates. Only one option is enabled in your applications. I'll tell you some scenarios. Suppose if you go with any travel applications, so you have to select the starting date, right, and returning date. So normally when you travel, you will always select the future date or current date, right? So in travel applications, you cannot select the old dates. So that is one scenario. And some applications, you want to enter some date of birth. So date of birth is obviously the previous year, previous months, and previous date will be there. So in those cases, it will not allow you, the date picker will not allow you to store or allow you to select the future years or future months or future date, because there's a date of birth. So whenever you see date picker element on your web page, it will be either allowed to select future one, or it will allow you to select past one. Only it is possible. So accordingly, we have to write the logic, because these are the demo kind of applications. So demo kind of date pickers. So in this, we will able to select future and past everywhere. But normally in the real-time applications, most of the times you will see either past one you can select or future one you can select, but both you cannot select in one date pick. Okay, accordingly, how to write the logic. So this is how we need to implement the logic for the date picker. So now we can just change these values and then test multiple ways. Okay, so whenever you want to select the future, just enable the first one and disable the second one. And accordingly, you have to change the date, months, and years. So this is all about the date picker. And that logic will not be the same for all kinds of date picker. So some date pickers are very easy, and we can directly select the month and year from the drop downs. I'll show you one more type of date picker, and then you will understand. Right. So let me just create another example. Date picker 2. Okay, so in this, I'm just going to show you one more type of date picker. So this time we will go and select the old date. Basically, it's a date of birth. Okay, and let me open the application. Okay. So now this is an application, dummy ticket booking.com is a sample dummy application. So you can also explore this application. You can automate it. So in this application, there are so many elements are there. So especially I'm interested on date of birth element. So you can just look at here, this small text box is available. So when you click on this text box, it will open the date picker. So now you can just look at here in this particular date picker, you can see drop downs. See, you have the arrow marks, but along with them, you also have the drop downs. So if they are provided drop downs like this, it is very simple for us. It is very easy for us because we no need to click on this drop down. We no need to click on this next and previous arrow marks. We can directly select the month from the drop down, and we can also directly select the year which you want to select directly from the drop down. And then we will get all the dates and select one of the date from this date picker. So this is more simpler than our previous one, because in the previous one, again, we have to capture the month and year, compare it, lengthy process is there. But this time it is very simple for us. Just we need to select expected month from this drop down, expected year from the drop down, and directly go and get all the dates and select one of the date. That's it. Now let me just try to automate this application. Go back. And okay, so as usual, we need to import all the modules, required modules, and specify the driver location, pass the service object to webdriver.chrome, and launch your application, then maximize the page. Now, and this is a date of birth element. Date of birth element. So what is the first action we have to do? As soon as you get this, we have to identify this element, and then we have to click on this element. So then it opens the date picker element. So let us try to inspect this element, text box element. Just right click and inspect. Input box is there. So for this input box, so it is giving some XPath. So let me just use that XPath. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. Specify the XPath dot click. Okay, dot click. So which will open the element. So it will open the date picker element. Opens date picker. Now, once it opens the date picker, so immediately what you can do is we don't need to specify any variables here. So directly we can select the date, month, year, or we can select the month and year from these two drop down boxes. Directly we can select. Now, let us handle the first drop down. So we know how to handle the drop down, right? We have seen earlier. The same approach we have to follow. As soon as you open the date picker, so first let us get this first drop down. So we already have the selected tag, and the class attribute is there. Or if it is not taking, then you can just go to the relative XPath from the selector hub, and you can use it. So let's capture this relative XPath, and then driver dot find element by dot XPath, specify the XPath. So this is a element, a drop down element. We cannot directly select the option from the drop down, right? We have to use a special class. What is the class name? What is the class name to handle the drop down? What is the new class name we have to use? What is the class name? Please respond. So what is the class name we have to use? Select the class, right? So first we have to pass this element, drop down element, into select class. So how to pass this element into the select class? So let's create. So I'd say date picker underscore date picker underscore. First I'll select the month. Okay, month equal to select a class object. So inside this we have to pass this element. The whole element we have to pass here, right? So now we got the date picker month drop down. So by using this select class object, we will be able to select the value. Now what is the method we have to use? What's the function we have to use? Date picker underscore month dot what is the method? Select by visible text. And now what is the month I want to select? Let us take December, DEC. So that value I will select December. Okay, done. So month is got selected from the drop down. And same thing we have to do with the year also. Now let's select the year. So let me refresh the page. Open another tab. So now this time select the year drop down box. So click on it, inspect this year drop down box, and you can see the select. Go to selector hub, and this is a drop down element. Go back, and again we have to use the select class. So I'm just taking select of driver dot find element by dot xpath, specify that xpath. We have just passed this element into the select class. So then I will store it in one more variable called, I say date picker. Instead of month, I say year equal to. Now by taking this element, we can select the year from the drop down by using select by visible text, and then specify the year, which year you want to select. Because it's the date of birth, I just want to select the previous year. So let's say 19, let's say 1990. Let's say 1990. And here we have selected December 1990. So with these statements, we successfully selected month and also year. Month and also year. I'll say 1990 I have selected. Okay, like this. So now we need to select the date. As soon as you selected your month and year, then we have to select the date directly. Now let us inspect this, all the dates. So basically it is also table, right? So let's get the table, and this is XPath which is pointing to the whole table. Inside the table we have T body. So go to the T body slash T body. Now it is pointing to T body of the element for the date picker. Where is the date picker? Yeah. So now this XPath is exactly pointing to only table rows. Inside the T body, there are so many TRs are there. So now it is pointing to all the TRs. Now inside the TR, we need only TD. Now it is identifying all the TDs, table data. Now if I just look at this, and each individual TD, you can see anchor tag. And just look at one of the TR, TD. So there is an anchor tag is also there. So specify /a. So now it is exactly pointing to all the dates from the date picker. Now use this XPath. And here we have to capture all the dates into a variable. So driver dot find elements by dot XPath, and then specify that XPath, and this will return all the elements. So here I'm defining variable called dates. Now I capture all the dates into this variable. Now we need to read each and every date and compare with our expected date and click on the data. So simply what you can do is you can say all dates, give some name called all the dates. Now let's write one for loop element, or we can simply say date. Okay, no problem. Date in all dates. Then from all dates, we are retrieving one by one into this variable, and this date is also web element. So now what we need to do is from this web element, if the date dot text, which is equal to which date you want to select, that we need to specify. So I just want to select 25. So let's say 25. So then equal, then what we need to do, go and click on the data dot click, and immediately break. So we need to come out from the block. If I don't say break, what happens? It will just click on this date. Again, it will go and get another date and again compare this. So this loop will keep on repeating if I don't say break. So as soon as you selected the date and click on the date, immediately come out from the for loop. So this is a simple logic which we can write to select the dates. So this is more simpler than previous one, date picker, because it is provided drop downs. So directly we can select the month, directly we can select the date from the drop down and get all the dates, and then read all the dates one by one into this variable and compare with your expected date and click on it. So now finally 1990 December 25th, it should select. Let's go back and execute. Yes, now you can just go and see 12th is representing December, 25th is a date, 90 which is selected. And because this is a demo application, so we can also select till 2022 we can select. It is given 2022. So between these values, we can select any of them. Okay, so like this, we can just automate the date picker. So this is a logic may not work for all kinds of date pickers, but depends on the design. We have to frame the logic accordingly. Okay, but 99% of the times send keys method works everywhere. But some cases, if send keys method won't work, then you have to write this logic, otherwise not required. Okay, so this is all about date pickers concept, guys. So based on this, in the yesterday, and we have discussed tables, date pickers, and a few more elements we have discussed in the last session. So based on these concepts, I'll give you one assignment today, and you guys can do that. And this is the same application assignment. So this is the same application. So what we need to do is, in this application, there are so many elements are there. If I just look at this, the same application. So you can see different radio buttons are there. And you can choose one of them. So you can just choose one radio button and provide all the passenger details. These are all text boxes. You can easily interact and select male or female. And then you can just select the checkbox, or you can just leave empty and select one of the radio button here, and then provide all the details here in these text boxes, and select the radio buttons again and specify all the billing details and select the country here, and again fill all the details accordingly, because there are so many types of elements covered in this particular application. So accordingly, you have to provide all the details. Once you've provided all the details in this particular table, so you can see the table element also here. In the table, whatever the ticket you have selected here, the same price will appear here. Okay, so then you have to find out whether the same price is appeared here or not. So whatever you selected here, the same price should appear in the table. So you need to check this value is correctly given or not. So this is basically a table, or if you want, you can also read this data from this table. Okay, so you guys can automate this entire application. So you can just go to buy ticket, the same form will be appear. So in the form, you can just interact with all the elements. Okay, so you don't need to provide anything here. You don't need to place order. So you can just leave. This is dummy application. So till this, whatever elements are there, so it will cover all the radio buttons, text boxes, check boxes, drop downs, and also it can see the table also. Okay, so you can just try all these things. So this is the assignment for today. So this is a complete application. So you can just automate this entire form, all the elements you have to interact with. So you guys can try this assignment. I provide this link in the notes. Okay, so I'll stop for today here. So in the tomorrow we will continue.